Today we're going to go through how to fix the Microsoft 550-57515 email rejection. If you've seen a bounce that says something like this, access denied, sending domain does not meet the required authentication level, well that means that Microsoft does not think your sending domain meets its authentication requirements. And that's mainly aimed at higher volume senders sending to Outlook, Hotmail, Live, or Microsoft consumer inboxes. And Microsoft has said that domains sending more than 5,000 emails per day need to comply with these SPF, DKIM, and DMARC requirements. So if your email is being rejected with 57515, the fix is not just try sending again, you need to actually fix your domain authentication. The first thing you'll need to check is SPF. SPF tells receiving mail servers like Microsoft which systems are actually allowed to send email for your domain. So go to your DNS provider and check your SPF record. You should only have one SPF record for the domain, and it should include all of the platforms that you're actually sending mail from. If you send through Microsoft 365, your SPF record, for example, should include something like this. And for example, if you send through any marketing platforms, CRMs, billing systems, or a help desk system, the platform will also need to be included in that SPF record. But be careful, do not just keep adding includes forever. SPF has a DNS lookup limit, and if you go over it, SPF can fail completely. And we've got our SPF checker in the description below that will check all of this for any issues for you. Now for DKIM. DKIM proves that your email was signed by an authorized domain and that message was not changed in transit. For Microsoft 365, all you need to do is make sure that DKIM is actually enabled for your domain and not just the default on Microsoft.com domain. To do this, you need to go to Microsoft Defender portal, search for DKIM, select your domain, create the DKIM keys, and add the two CNAME records to DNS, and then come back to enable DKIM. We've got a really thorough video on how to do this, and we'll leave that in the description below as well. And if you are sending through any third-party platforms that also use DKIM, you will need to go into that platform, find its DKIM settings, and they'll normally give instructions on those DNS records you'll need to add and update as well. So add them, wait for DNS to update and propagate, and then verify the domain back inside that platform. And again, we've also got a cool DKIM checker tool that you can use to verify all of that in the description below as well. Finally, you'll need to also check DMARC. Microsoft requires DMARC to be published with at least a P equals none policy aligning to SPF or DKIM passing. And a basic record looks a little bit like this, and that record will need to go in DNS as a text record at your domain, and that'll look a bit like this as well. The P equals none part is monitoring mode, and it doesn't block any domains or emails yet, but it does tell Microsoft and other inbox providers that you do have DMARC in place, and that's the main thing that will stop any email deliverability problems. But the important bit now is alignment, and it's not enough for SPF or DKIM to pass somewhere in the background. The authenticated domain needs to line up with the domain people see in the from address. So if your email says it is from you@example.com, Microsoft wants to see SPF or DKIM passing for example.com on an aligned subdomain. This is where a lot of third-party tools break. Your CRM might be sending from your domain, but it's using its own return path domain, or your marketing platform might be sending emails that pass DKIM but not against your domain. So that can mean SPF or DKIM is technically passing, but DMARC still fails because the domains do not align. So if you are using a third-party sender, make sure that you have set up custom DKIM for your domain, and if that platform supports a custom bounce or return path domain, make sure you set that up as well. Once SPF and DKIM and DMARC are fixed, send a test email to a Microsoft address and check that authentication results. So you want to be able to see SPF, DKIM, and DMARC all pass. If the rejection doesn't disappear immediately, just give DNS a bit more time. Some records update quickly, whilst others can take a few hours. So you need to also check the basics. Make sure your from or reply to address is valid and can receive replies. If this is marketing or bulk email, make sure that you do have a clear unsubscribe link. Keep your list clean, remove invalid addresses, and do not send to people who never opted in. So Microsoft is not just looking at one DNS record in isolation. It is looking at whether your domain behaves like a legitimate sender. And this is where Suped helps. Instead of guessing which source is failing, Suped turns your DMARC reports into a clean dashboard. You can see whether Outlook is passing, whether your CRM is failing, whether a marketing tool is missing DKIM or SPF, and whether anything unexpected is sending from your domain. So the short version is this. If you see Microsoft 550-57515 error, check SPF enable DKIM, publish DMARC, and make sure your DMARC alignment is passing from your actual domain in your from address. Start DMARC at p equals none, fix every legitimate sender, and then move to quarantine and eventually to reject once everything is clean and passing. And if you want to check whether your domain is set up correctly, Suped has a bunch of free tools linked in the description. Hope this was useful. If it was, hit that subscribe button and give the video a like, and we'll see you in the next one.